Yo, Sanjo J here, people, and I'm bringing you my review on Dragon Ball Super Episode 111, the Surreal Supreme Battle Hit versus Jiren. I must apologize because this review is going up a bit late. I did watch the episode last night, but unfortunately I wasn't able to do my review at that time, so I apologize for that. But as usual, be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, hit that bell to obtain notifications for when I actually upload videos and all that jazz and blues. But without further ado, let's get into it. So, Episode 111, the follow-up to the 1 hour special of Dragon Ball Super that aired last week, of course. And of course, as the title implies, this episode mainly centered around the Hit versus Jiren fight. A fight I'd definitely say is the second most anticipated fight in the Dragon Ball Super community, next to the Goku versus Jiren fight. I mean, a lot of people, ever since Jiren was basically introduced into the series, a lot of people have been wanting to see Hit versus Jiren, and I thought it definitely delivered. It's definitely a solid episode, but let's get into it bit by bit and dissect it. So we start off the episode where we left off last week with Frieza giving seemingly set up to actually kill Goku. Now, like many people would have predicted, based on this Frieza's statement of it being reminiscent of Namek, like everybody, I'm pretty sure 99% of people predicted that Frieza would end up giving Goku his energy, and he did just that. I mean, obviously. But the thing is, what I like about this scene here is the characterization of Frieza. Frieza honestly has been one of the most interesting, if not the most interesting character to watch on the Universe 7 team in this Tournament of Power, based on how he's characterized and how he interacts with the Universe 7 team. And it's funny because when Frieza came back, a lot of people were complaining, and especially since Boo didn't even take part in the last tournament, he didn't get to fight, so a lot of people are complaining about that. But it's honestly refreshing to see how Frieza has been portrayed here. And the reason I say that is that it was a prime opportunity for him to get his revenge against Goku, since, as he pointed out, the section they were on the ring, they were basically the blind spot, so nobody would have seen if he killed Goku. So it's cool that the characterization here, Frieza shows a level of maturity to, I guess, give up the opportunity for his revenge in favor of putting Universe 7. It's like he puts Universe 7's potential victory over his own selfish desires, and that's interesting coming from Frieza. It definitely made the episode, at least the beginning part, very, very interesting. It definitely adds to the episode. And not to mention, Frieza himself mentions that he wants Goku to, stay in there because he himself wants to avoid fighting Jiren, which is also another interesting take on things. Is Frieza essentially admitting someone stronger than him, but it's obvious. But him just saying it so casually without getting upset or anything like that, it's cool. And it's a tactical move because Frieza heard the gods mention that Goku's new state was Ultra Instinct, and he conveys his information to Goku. So him trying to keep Goku in the game was a good and logical move. Nice characterization. I loved it. Excellent start to the episode. Now we continue on where we left off with Jiren, with Hit going in. Of course, based on the fact that we can assume that Hit is anywhere from Super Saiyan Blue Goku level to probably, and based on his performance, it would seem that he's stronger than base Super Saiyan Blue. He may be as strong as probably some multiplication of Kaioken. I don't want to go as far as saying times 20. I don't think it's that far, but based on his performance against Jiren and him comparing the strength of Jiren's blows, and I just assume that these are the blows that Goku received, and just the fact that he could actually block and all of that was cool. That was cool. Says something about the power scale. Hit has definitely improved. Very powerful. Now, of course, Hit goes in there with the time skip, which basically kind of catches Jiren off guard at the start, but just like I would say in the Universe 6 tournament, where Goku would predict where Hit would essentially attack after the time skip ends, it's the same thing with Jiren, and Jiren quickly adapts to it, showing how much of a beast Jiren is when it comes to fighting, at least. So there's that. Of course, we do get some more Ribrian after a point in time, and I'm like, why is Ribrian still in the ring? It's something that kind of brings down the episode for me, even though her characterization in this episode was interesting in the fact that she was doubting herself. It's kind of like a bit of false tension because there's no way people are gonna take her seriously when we have Vegeta fighting her in his base form. Like, I'm not sure what Toei is going for with her, or if there's anything in Toriyama's notes that says she has something useful to do later. I don't know, but at the moment it's Ribrian's presence is essentially dragging down these episodes, so this was definitely a negative for the episode. False tension is always bullshit in story writing to me, so yeah. But we quickly get back to Jiren versus Hit, and Jiren, the choreography of the fight here is pretty cool. It's cool to see Hit using the time skip, kind of trying to go around Jiren, but Jiren's not having it. And he does try the extension of his time skip when he can actually, basically the Kamui. He tries Kamui, but it's insane that Jiren predicted, like, managed to detect Hit's attack from the alternate dimension, and that doesn't work either. So there's that. And he manages to shatter the dimensional wall that Hit was hiding behind, so there was that as well. So we eventually get to the point where we find out Hit's been taking Jiren's blows, continually using the time skip even though it's not working, to actually just learn how Jiren counters and how he attacks. And we eventually get to the point where Jiren pulls out his trump card. So it's at this point that we find out Hit's trump card is just essentially using the time skip only on one individual, Jiren in this case. And it's at this point where, like, my first major problem in the episode comes. Like, when Hit turns around and looks at Kaba and Khalifa and Kale, you'd think he would have told them to attack or destroy the ground so Jiren could drop out of the ring. Granted, I'm sure just like when he was trying to finish it, Jiren would have created a barrier, but it would have made more sense logically speaking for him to actually tell them to just try to finish Jiren off there. I would have been more satisfied personally if they did that and Jiren blocked out the barrier. Even though I'm sure he would have blocked the barrier anyway, but you get the point. Of course, Jiren forces through Hit's time skip and crushes his final attack, and essentially finishes Hit off, hitting him out of the ring. Essentially kind of solidifying what I was saying in my 1 hour special extended review, that Goku still being in the ring is kind of for the sake of plot. Granted, I guess you could make the excuse that he was going to ring out Goku, but Hit came into the equation before he could. But it just really seems like, yeah, Goku's in the ring for the sake of plot. And even at the end of this episode, Jiren sees him and just doesn't do anything. But Hit's out of the ring, and it's cool how even Shampa's characterized, considering he loves to complain, but he tells Hit now, you know, good job, man. And that was cool. Like, this episode is filled with a lot of good characterization moments that really help to bring out the characters a bit more. I definitely loved it. Of course, at this point, after ringing out Hit, we find out that it's basically the halfway point in the Tournament of Power, and the Dai Shinkan essentially changes the ambience, the scenery, to this kind of green backlit sky. It's kind of interesting to say the least. Good. I think it's a good thing visually speaking, because even going into this tournament, I thought the stage would have been, well, nah, but it's a good look visually speaking. I liked it. Of course, at the end here, Jiren goes back to meditate and tells Toppo and Dispo to actually take care of the rest, because all the fighters he's needed for are basically out of the picture, even though Goku's still in the ring, but whatever. And it's here that I kind of find to be my second problem with the episode. It's starting to, obviously we're going to get a Goku versus Jiren rematch, but do they really have to make it so predictable? Like, Jiren just like, okay, I'm not really needed anymore, nobody can really test me, and it's making it so predictable in the sense that, okay, Jiren underestimates everybody, gives Goku a fighting chance, Goku comes back with his Ultra Instinct, and probably, if not beat Jiren, definitely put universe level in a disadvantageous state in terms of them having a chance of winning this tournament. I find that they are making the writing too predictable, but I mean, anything can happen still, but I didn't like that, because the thing is, at the end of the day, they don't necessarily have to beat Jiren to come out on top on this tournament. Universe 11 only has 3 fighters, so Universe 7 just has to have more fighters at the end of the day. You'd think Toppo and Jiren would just go ham and just eliminate everybody at the end, but whatever. So we get these robots from Universe 3 coming in and trying to go against Jiren, but Jiren has set up a barrier while he's meditating. So yeah, there's that. So that's more or less where the episode ends, and Goku trying to figure out, basically saying that he doesn't believe Jiren views him as a worthy adversary anymore. So that's the end of the episode. Overall, my only other nitpick with the episode is, even though we have a good idea of how the extended versions of Hit's time skip works, like his alternate dimension, Kamui ability, bringing in the Naruto stuff there, his invisible ki blast, false energy projection, I kind of found it that this episode kind of continued the problems I had with episode 39 of Dragon Ball Super, in the sense that there's no context for why is it that Jiren can actually overcome the time skip itself. You get what I'm saying? And it was the same thing when Goku pulled out the times 10 Kaioken with Hit. There's no like context, like why is Goku able to move in when time is stopped? It's not like in the manga where they set up to say, okay, Hit can only hold a time skip for a certain amount of time depending on how strong he is, comparatively speaking, to who he's using it against. So the stronger the opponent is, the less time he can hold it for. It's not like that context is set up for the anime version here, and it just feels like the more I'm watching the episode, it's the more, apart from like Jiren predicting where Hit's gonna be after the time skip ends, like when he's holding Hit Jiren in place, it feels like I'm forced to use the manga adaptation's logic to justify the anime adaptation. And there could be some value for that because they're both based on the same I guess Toriyama's manuscript or whatever, his outline. But yeah, that's just my gripe with it. But let me know what you thought about the episode. Sanju Uchiha, rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.